hard out. Hard out. Hard out. Definitely a hard out. Definitely a hard out. Oh, here we go. Let's make sure this bad boy is working. Let's go. Let's go. Make sure everything is... Oh, I need this a little bit closer. That's just a little bit too far. Hope everybody liked my what is it, my bookcase? Yeah. There we go. Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Angle. Maybe just needs a little bit more. Maybe a little bit more that way, just to get the whole board in there. Looks like we're good. All right. I think I got everything. Need a sip of this. Lifesaver flavor juice. See? Wow, that's a way better intro. Can actually get everything kind of working and everything in position. Feels so much better. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 13 of the North Sports Podcast show. It's not a podcast, it's a show. It's a show. Ladies and gentlemen, it is June 12th, 2020. We have sports across the board coming pretty damn soon. Pretty damn soon. But before we get into the news of the sports world and showing you how you can win some new stuff here pretty damn soon, let me get into some of the things to help you follow me, your host, Andrew Faubert. Let's get it going. You can follow me at Twitter at Andrew_Faubert, or you can look for the North Sports logo that you have right up there, ladies and gentlemen. You can also follow me on Instagram at North Sports 2020. Yes, North Sports 2020. That's the new Instagram, ladies and gentlemen, for you, the fans, to go and get interactive with me, your host, where the card openings will start happening. And also, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I've decided to add a little thing into there. If you start following the 2020 North Sports 2020 Instagram, you will get an extra three entries into the draw, which is happening pretty damn soon. I'll get to that in a moment. Also, follow the Bucks Report on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Yes, that is where I also work, I guess you would say. It's not really work when you enjoy it. I have an amazing group of co-hosts and amazing group of co-workers who put on great content every single day, led by the man, Peter King, who has all the knowledge for you, ladies and gentlemen. He puts on shows like 3 or 4 times a week, whenever there's news, for the Buccaneers. I am part of that, and I will be on tonight at around 10:30 p.m. Eastern time, which is about 8:30 p.m. my time, which is Mountain Time. I believe it's Mountain Time. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Also, you can follow me on YouTube pretty damn soon. Yes, YouTube is coming soon, not only for North Sports, but for the Bucks Report. The Bucks Report one is all on me. Got a bit of a family upstairs I gotta have a little bit of time for, which is nothing on Bucks Report or anything like that. It's on me. Trying to get a lot of good content to get a few episodes right off the bat so that I'm not stopping when I start. So be ready for that coming soon. Be ready for North Sports on YouTube pretty damn soon. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, there's a draw coming. What? There's a draw coming soon. And that draw is for the cards that you see up there. And the pack. We're going to be adding one more to the draw today with this pack right here. And any good card that we got in there, or the best card that I deem fit to be in the draw, is going to go into the giveaway that is going to happen on, drumroll please, the 27th of June. Yes, 27th of June is, I believe, a Saturday. I had it. I forgot the day. I believe it's a Saturday. I think that's the reason why I picked it. Anyway, we're going to do it on a Saturday. And we're going to do it that day because, why? Because there's going to be a lot of sports happening the couple of weeks after that. So I figured, why don't we end the first technical season of the North Sports Show and have the draw? Now, a lot of people have asked me, one, that Reese McGuire auto right there that you see, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. People are like, can I just buy it off you? Can I just maybe, it'd be really nice if I could just purchase it off you right off the bat. We didn't have to have this discussion, I guess you would say, of a giveaway. You could just give it to me and I'll give you some good cash. And I say nay, because I got fans. And I got people who have actually shared the crap out of this video. So I can't do that to them, and I'm not going to do that to them, ladies and gentlemen. But the Reese McGuire, the pack of cards, all those young guns that you see right there, the Gordie Howe and the Brad Marchand Shiny, are all available on the draw on the 27th of June on the Saturday. That'll be our last season, the last episode of the season. I'll take a week, maybe 2 off to get a couple of things set up and, like get my printer some ink and shit like that. And get a couple new binders because this one's getting pretty full. So we have to get ready for season 2 because there's going to be a lot of sports coming. So that's the date. How do you enter into it? You like, you share, you tag your friends into the videos. Every time you do that, you get one of your names into the draw. And then I will sit there on live and I will just sit there all episode doing this to all your names. And at one random point when I'm talking, I'll be like, boom, pick a name while I'm looking at the camera. No hesitation. And now there have been people asking, what about if I live in the States? Because now we have some American viewers who have been sitting there being like, what, there's a Canadian making fun of me? I don't like Canadians making fun of me. I don't want to hear no Canadian making fun of me. So they've started to view our show, which thank you. We appreciate any viewer that we have here on the North Sports Show. And they're wondering, what about me? It's going to cost you maybe a little bit to send it off to me. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I will send it off to you. That package, I will send it. It doesn't matter the cost. You tell me where you live or tell me where to send it, and I will send it to you. That is the way it goes, ladies and gentlemen. So, without further ado, let's get into some of the news here today. As you can see from the list of things above here at the start of the video, I have an order of things that I want to get to, and that's how I'm going to do them today. I also have a brand new chair. Kind of squeaks. I'm going to try and prevent myself from swaying too much so there is not that much squeakies in the show. Now, going forward, the NBA players are kind of revolting. That's the biggest news here right off the bat. Yes, some of the NBA players have a problem with are voicing their displeasure with the return of play that is happening supposedly on July 30th in Orlando. Now, why is this being brought up right now when everything's about to be going and stuff like that? There's a bit of a movement happening in the States. And this movement that the players are bringing up to tonight, apparently on a Zoom call, which actually apparently has ended, and I have some updates on that. So several NBA players feel like their voices aren't being heard as far as the concerns about resuming the season are concerned. And how many of those players are there? 150. 150? What? Yes, 150 players are voicing their displeasure with what is about to happen with the return of play happening in the NBA. Now, 150 players doesn't seem like much. But that's because most of us are baseball fans and NFL fans. And we think that there's way more players. No, 150 players, prominent players in the NBA, actually takes up 33% of the current roster and depth charts. So that's a pretty big problem. But it looks like the NBA had a contingency plan when they brought out a bunch of news a few days ago, even about a week ago, where they said when this all gets back into play, players will have the right to stay home if they choose so. Which, okay, we all kind of thought that was going to happen. But on the flip side, they said that they can have those teams fill those roster spots with other players. So what does that mean? Does that mean that they could just go and sign these other, actually, okay, whoa, let's turn that down. Sorry. Can they go and sign these other players that are out there, like free agents and stuff like that? Quite possibly. But they obviously would have to pass a coronavirus test. So a 14-day quarantine anytime they travel in and out of the state that is, majorly quarantined, or out of the, the country, if they were out of the country already. There's many things like that that are still in play. Now, the interesting part of that is trades apparently might be able to happen. There's a weird article that's out there right now, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this until I actually get a full confirmation, and I don't think it's true. That wouldn't make no sense. But apparently small minor trades would be allowed to happen in order to fill roster spots that are all across the NBA, depending on certain teams that would lose certain players, depending on which ones wouldn't want to play. So, are you saying that certain teams that would be, say, on the bubble, like a Portland or San Antonio, could take one of their stars who would say that they're going to play and trade them to a team that's going to take a bit of a run and get some minor bench players that would help him for the next season, or some prospects or some draft picks and this, that, and everything else. That would be interesting. But unless that is a fully guaranteed thing that has been said by Adam Silver, we're not going to touch too much base on it, but we want to have that in the back of our heads because that could be interesting. The free agent thing, though, it's kind of a given, especially with the Lakers. J.R. Smith can't be spending that much time with the Lakers if they're not going to sign him. All right? The other thing I wanted to touch base on about this is, the NBA has the start date for July 30th on, the 2020. But here's the thing. Like we've seen with the Buccaneers and Tom Brady, where they've been having hidden practices and stuff like that for quite a while to get ready for the next up-and-coming season, certain players and certain teams and certain organizations will do anything to win. And when you have the winner's mentality, especially when one of the greatest has passed away not that long ago, and Kobe Bryant, may he rest in peace, always loved on this show, you have players like LeBron, Kawhi Leonard, and Russell Westbrook, for crying out loud, who are dedicated veterans who are going to be looking to be bending the rules a little bit. Like we've seen LeBron James biking with all of his players. Hearing LeBron James having these secret practices for so long. What do we think is Kawhi Leonard's doing with his team? What do you think Russell Westbrook would be doing in Houston? Players that have that killer mentality or that win now mentality, they will always, always, always try to do things that will bend the rules just a little bit. Just a little bit. So look for these teams to be the real ones here that can take their respected franchises far into the postseason. The Lakers are going to be meeting the Clippers in the final two out of the West. I don't care what anybody says. The Clippers were a damaged team for a bit, and they're the only team to take the Lakers and give them 2 losses this season by the same franchise. One with Kawhi and one without. Both with Kawhi. One with Paul George and one without. So that's the final 2 out of the West for sure. Because they were so damaged, the Clippers, and now you've had all this time to heal. That's a given, guys. That's an easy one. Out of the East, in my opinion, it's open. But the utter disrespect that is happening to the Raptors needs to stop. They won a championship last year. And a lot of people are like, yeah, but they won against the really beat-up Warriors, man. Steph was out, and Steph was it, Clay was out, and Durant was out, and a bunch of other. Shut up. Shut up. What are they now without any of those players, really? Out those players, they are getting the first overall pick. The Warriors are in prime position to trade for fucking Giannis, okay? So, Raptors are a stacked team. Raptors can really do some damage here. You need to look out for the Raptors. But the killer mentality out of the East really could be a hurt team, like Miami with Jimmy Butler. Miami could be really the one that really upsets everybody out of the East. Who knows? Hell, Washington really could too. I highly doubt it, but if John Wall comes back from injury, anything's possible. Now, to be clear, I would have put my house, my fortune, everything, my cards, the really expensive cards, my Zion cards, the Ja Morant rookie, the Gordy everything, the Wayne Gretzky rookie, everything I have of value. If Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were both playing for the Nets in this upcoming situation, I would have bet everything on them to go to the finals against the Lakers and probably beat the Lakers. It would have given LeBron that little bit extra push to get to the finals, right? Kawhi wouldn't necessarily care, but it could get a little extra push for the Lakers to get to the finals. The Lakers and Nets in the finals with a healthy rosters, respectively, is a pretty nice looking finals, if you ask me. And I would still give it to the Nets. I don't like Durant, but I'd still give it to the Nets in probably 6 or 7. That's a damn good team, guys. That's a damn good team. That's a damn good roster when it's healthy. But they're not. They're not, and they're not coming back in. So right now, the East is open. Really, anybody can take it. The Bucks, Giannis hasn't really had everybody going like LeBron has. The Raptors, who knows, but still, Canada's a lot harder to deal with the coronavirus. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. 17 players per roster, though. We all thought 15. The NBA came back and said, no, ladies and gentlemen, we'll give you 17. And I have a feeling this is because of the amount of people that is not going to be part of this upcoming, say, season. All the players that are going to stay home because of the coronavirus, who do not want to be part of this and stuff like that, because they're not getting fined. No one's getting in trouble. No one's even getting tested for recreational drugs. It's basically like Adam Silver saying, please, come on. We're going to Orlando. Like, you want prostitutes? We're just going to have to swab them before we come in. You want Coke? We got Coke. Whatever you want. That's essentially what he's saying with saying no recreational testing. And you guys are going to stay at these hotels at Disney World until we finish it. It's like you're going on vacation, but you're working. And you don't want that? Get out of here. I would kill for an opportunity like that. If I was single, as a married man, I would understand NBA players and stuff like that who wouldn't want to go because of the temptations and stuff like that. And I think that was brought up on like Pat McAfee's show before, where they brought up, the tempting, if Orlando Magic really wanted to, they could tempt people, being like, hey, go try and get into the Lakers locker room and stuff like that and swindle them and stuff like that. It's a real thing that happens. Getting into the next one, though. The NHL has apparently have one city that they got as a hub city. Anybody take a guess what it is? No, it's not Edmonton. It's actually, apparently, Vegas, which would make sense. So Vegas apparently by, who has reported that? Give me a second here. Rob Williams reporting out of, on Twitter for Bob Fye. Yeah, Bob Fye reporting that Vegas will get one of the hub cities locations. Now, this would make sense because Vegas is a new team, but they have their hockey area set up for massive tourism. Hotels, you get the MGM Grand right there. I mean, you got all these other hotels and stuff like that it's just abundant through Vegas. So obviously it makes sense that Vegas would be one of the teams that they have chosen. But now it leads to the real question is, what about the other locations? Because if you said that you wanted an eastern city to host western teams, this really puts not too many teams left that can host on the other side. Now, that being said, I think what could happen respectively is I think the NHL is going to choose to allow Vegas to host the western side of things, and the next team is probably going to host the eastern side of things. It could be two western cities, because the next cities that are left that have been reported and been rumored and stuff like that are Edmonton, Pittsburgh, Toronto, and Vancouver. And the only two teams out of the East right there is Pittsburgh and Toronto. Toronto would make sense because of the amount of hotels that they have too. Pittsburgh, it would work. Vancouver's making a push and Edmonton has made a push, but the problem is if they already chose Vegas and they're going to have this, fairness going around, which Gary Bettman has pushed and I appreciate and a lot of other people have. I think what it comes down to is what is just the best locations to have it. If it's Vegas and Vancouver and that's two western cities, let Vancouver host the East. Let Vegas host the East. Who knows? It's really up to what Gary Bettman and what happens with the second wave, because this whole thing can be canceled in 3 weeks because of the riots and because of the amount of people right now that are catching the second wave. So watch out for that, but also watch out for cities like Edmonton and like Vancouver who are doing a damn good job with this whole COVID-19 outbreak to possibly actually get to host, these upcoming playoffs. I have to tilt that back a little bit. So yeah, that's basically it for the NHL news. Besides the fact that the NHL is still on board to come back, they look like they want to try and beat the NBA in the days, like I said last week, for coming out. Look for them to do it a couple of days before. So on the other side of it, ladies and gentlemen, the MLB, Major League Baseball. Yes, the thing that's probably not going to happen this year. I don't even want to get into the full details of that because I don't even know the full breakdown of that. I've been searching so long to try and get full details about what is actually happening with the MLB, and the only thing that I have is nobody actually gives a damn about the other side. Excuse me. The owners are wrong in this, ladies and gentlemen, okay? The owners are wrong. And a lot of people would disagree with that because, they have to take all the monies that they have and take a chance and they can lose their fortune just like that and blah, 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 blah. I get it. So there's a lot of other people around the world. I mean, with everything that's going around, nobody wants to hear multi-billionaires losing multi-billions of dollars and stuff like that. I get it. The problem is that the owners are not willing to lose a small amount of money, like $10.8 million, in order to have a good season and keep the players being paid. The owners are trying to strong dick the players because of negotiations with the CBA and all that kind of stuff that are about to happen going forward next year. That's the reason why in October they put this thing in place, whereas if you tried to strike before the next CBA agreement, you're all basically fired. And this pandemic just basically threw the biggest damn horse wrench into everything. And it sucks. There's nothing that the MLB players can do about it, really. And I feel for them. But the draft happened. It's not as many rounds as everybody thought it was. It wasn't 40 rounds. It was 5. And there was something amazing that happened. Tigers, with the number 1 overall pick, took Spencer Torkelson out of Arizona State. It was a first baseman, and they're turning him into a third baseman, which is kind of like, you just took me with the first overall pick. I get it, right? You know, you could switch it around. You know, you could go right back to first and this, that, and everything else. But it's still a weird pick, if you ask me. So, on the flip side of it, then that wasn't the number 1 rated prospect. No. The number 1 rated prospect in all of this, ladies and gentlemen, was a gentleman named Austin Martin. And he fell all the way to number 5 to our Canadian and beloved Toronto Blue Jays. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Blue Jays got the best prospect out there. A lot of people would be like, well, usually the best prospect doesn't fall to number 5 unless there's a major problem. There wasn't a major problem. The teams above them drafted for need, not for the player that was available. Every team above them basically has a good player at that position or can move a position around and stuff like that, but it wouldn't make sense. The Blue Jays just happened to be sitting there at number 5 and said, we're a rebuilding team that just need fucking talent. So they drafted him, Austin Martin, out of Vanderbilt. This kid is going to be something. I just watched a little highlight tape of him and stuff like that, and I actually forgot to write down what he plays. But if you look at the roster that the Blue Jays have right now, Vladimir Guerrero, Bo Bichette, Haranjun Crew, that was really bad, I'm sorry. Kevon Brigio, Shuon Yamaguchi, Reese McGuire, Travis Shaw, Lourdes Guerrero Jr., Joe Panic. You know, the list goes on and on. They got a lot of players in the minors and stuff like that. They got a lot of different players that they can move around here, ladies and gentlemen. The Blue Jays look like they're coming. And I hate to get, you know, Canada in a what do you say, in a state of uproar because, oh my God, the Blue Jays are coming back and everyone's going to get back into baseball for like 5% here. Okay, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But we need to be patient. The Blue Jays organization, when they had their playoff run, which, by the way, that game 5 at Rogers Center, 7th inning, 6th inning, 5th, 6th, and 7th inning, but that 7th inning with Jose Bautista bat flip, whew, best damn game I've ever watched. And I'm a Cardinals fan, okay? I have my Game 6 memory. You damn well know it. But that one was fucking awesome. It was by far the best game I've ever watched. They didn't have everything. They had major players at major positions. What do you think the Blue Jays are going to do now that they're drafting for their actual needs? And they're getting major prospects. This is a good thing for Canada. This is a good thing for our Blue Jays. This is a good thing for baseball in Canada in general. This is a good thing in general. I like the Blue Jays. I love my Cardinals. It's good to see teams that have a good logo, a good fan base, and a good history behind them. When they struggle and they have to sell all their players and they don't want to be here and this, that, and everything else, it's good to see them cross the other side of things, getting the respect that they deserve. And the Blue Jays here in the offseason, when they actually can get a season going, are going to be a hell of a good team. I might even buy a PlayStation 5 and play MLB The Show 2021. Why? Because I would play the Blue Jays and the Cardinals franchise mode and have a blast. Now, getting into some NFL here, ladies and gentlemen. The NFL players are saying they are going to protest. Are they going to protest like what is happening right now? No, they are going to take a knee. Something that they got in trouble for before. But now they're not, because Roger Goodell knows better. So yes, a lot of players have come out on Twitter, social media, and even in their own organizations to state that in the next season, a lot of these players are going to be taking a knee. A lot of you may not like that. There's a few Canadians that I know who are against taking a knee. Now, here's where I will put my sense into this. And in an age where social media will use certain things against you and this, that, and everything else, I want this to be on record, actually. So that if I ever do get a little, attention later on, I actually become something with Buck's Report. I become something, past that, an analyst, a writer, a show host, whatever. I want it to be known. When you take a knee, is it disrespecting a flag? No. What's disrespecting a flag is burning a flag. It's throwing it on the ground. It's pissing on it, throwing dirt on it. Things that would actually be disrespectful. Taking a knee and not even touching the flag is not disrespectful, ladies and gentlemen. Taking a knee is something that people do to show discomfort. We have here in my city somebody who put the flag upside down. And I found out that that means a few things. But one of the major common things that that actually means is that there is a state of emergency. There is distress in our country. And from the top of North America to the bottom of North America, there's distress all across. But the one thing that people are not doing is they're not burning their flags and they're not disrespecting it like that. They are taking a knee to show the unrest and the love and support that they have for everybody around each other, for the teammates that they have, for the brothers and sisters that they die for, on the field and off the field. So do not sit there and say taking the Confederate flag out of NASCAR is a bad thing. And I forgot to add this to my notes today. I'm adding it right now. It's a good transition. The Confederate flag was taken out of NASCAR the other day. Fucking good. Finally. Holy crap. Now, before I didn't really have a problem with it. I thought it's just a flag and stuff like that. Now when you start to realize the situations that are actually happening around you, not just now, but just in general, what certain things stand for and what they mean. Yeah, flags are supposed to meant to show support. If you fly a flag, you support that flag. If you flew a Nazi flag, that would mean you more than likely support what they did. And a lot of people would be very upset with that because what they did was very bad and very murderous. What the Confederate flag stands for is people uprising against their very own people who were trying to free human beings. So you're flying a flag that is disrespectful. I don't care if your fan base in NASCAR is 50%. You know what you just had? African Americans from NFL and oh my God, that was a big burp. I apologize. From the NFL and the NBA and the MLB and the MLS and the NHL all across the board watching the Martinsville night race. Isn't it nice when you lose some fan bases and you lose some fans and you gain more? Better ones? Ones with actual cash, if you really want to get into it. Alvin Kamara's got millions of dollars. Hell, I'll take Alvin Kamara as a fan before I take 100 fucking hillbillies. Any day of the week. Any day of the week. You're going to be kidding me with some of these fans who think that having the Confederate flag is actually an utter disrespect. You serious? It's a flag. It's a flag. I find it a little bit more disrespectful they haven't taken the number 3 out of NASCAR. We're at 43. Hell, even 24. To all my Gordon fans out there. Okay? Don't at me with this whole Confederate flag thing. There is absolutely no need for it in sports whatsoever. And if you're no longer a fan of NASCAR because of it, fucking good. I'll sit there and watch every damn race. Thanks to a good buddy of mine who showed me how to stream the shit. I don't have it on Sportsnet. I can only afford so many different sports platforms here, ladies and gentlemen. I can't afford just to watch the NASCAR race, but I can stream it, and I'm gonna. Fucking hell if you think the Confederate flag should be in NASCAR. Oh my God. So going back to the protest, Kaepernick was the first person to really take a knee. Now, if we go back in history, somebody brought up that people have done this in the past and stuff like that in baseball, apparently. Now, I'm not too sure about that, and until I actually have the videos and the proof and who the players are and stuff like that, don't want to necessarily go there. But Colin Kaepernick was the first player to ever do this. Colin Kaepernick took a knee to support the Black Lives Movement that was happening 4 years ago. Roger Goodell comes out and apologizes for what the NFL has done. Basically nothing, right? And now they're not going to do anything. They're not going to sit there. They're not going to tell these players who are currently going to take a knee for this upcoming season. They ain't going to tell them nothing. No one's getting fined. No one's getting suspended. No one's getting blacklisted. But it does suck for a player who used to play, who was pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie. This little run that he had with the 49ers was pretty awesome. With the little pistol formation that Jim Harbaugh made and actually, did a pretty damn good job. And hey, who knows what would have happened in that Super Bowl if the lights didn't go out, okay? So, I think he's a good quarterback. Now, a lot of players have said, or a lot of people have said, and players, it would take a little bit for him to get back into the swing of things. That's true. And a lot of these teams have a plan. And COVID hasn't really helped any of these NFL franchises going forward. So do you expect any of these guys to take a chance on Colin Kaepernick? I don't even think the Jags would. Because what if he starts actually doing good? Then they're going to lose out on what they want, which we will get to later on here in the show. I want to see Colin Kaepernick back in the NFL. I want to see Johnny Manziel back in the NFL. I want to see everybody back in the NFL. There's only 32 roster spots. Maybe you need a team up in Canada. Maybe you need to expand it a little bit. Who knows? Okay? But there's other things with Colin Kaepernick as well. He wanted money up front. And I get it. I now seeing everything that's going on, I totally get everything. Okay? The man wanted to get paid. I would have wanted to get paid too. But if you got to take a bit of a pay cut to show like everybody else has, Warren Moon did it. Won 5 Grey Cups with the Edmonton Eskimos up here. 42.5 kilometers away is where they won those cups. 5 in a row. And then he got his contract. He earned his contract and he got to the NFL. There's reasons. Players do what they have to do. Doug Flutie did the same thing. Theismann, Joe Theismann did the same thing. Ricky Williams did the same thing. Jared Allen. There's so many players that came up to Canada and played. All Colin Kaepernick had to do was try. We saw Johnny Manziel come up here, and he did not succeed. Colin Kaepernick could come up here, and he could destroy with the Rough Riders. He would have a whole new stadium. He'd have a whole fan base behind him. Go live with freaking Brock Lesnar in the middle of Saskatoon, eh? It's ridiculous. I get that he was blacklisted and stuff like that, but you gotta try on the other side, man. You gotta do something different. CFL is not owned by the NFL just yet. You could have came up here. I would have bought your jerseys. Oh, I would have driven to Mosaic Stadium every damn weekend if you were a Rough Rider, man. Ugh. The virtual part of the offseason has been extended through to June 26th for all the players. I think that is just so that they can slowly get everybody back in, like the coaches and stuff like that, into the facility, start getting the locker room spread out, everything that they need to do in order to get this season going forward, okay? It's not going to be easy for some of these players, but the NFL looks like it's going to be fine in regards to players just in general going into the next season. They might have a couple of things where, a couple of rookies aren't ready, and this is really going to show who did have a good draft and who didn't have a good draft. Did you draft an elite talent that didn't really need a rookie training camp to do really good? That's going to show. Did you overlook? Did you overdraft somebody? Did you overpick somebody? All that stuff is going to come into light in this offseason. But it's also going to show, like, hey, did you draft this random kid that, was pushing boulders and stuff like that for the last little while? Who knows? Find anything in the draft. We don't know what is going to happen. This is going to be one of the craziest off seasons for the NFL by far. But the virtual part of the season has been pushed back a little bit just to allow the players to have their time and the coaches the coaches and the staff and all that kind of stuff to have their time in the stadiums, in the facilities, to make sure everything is all good. Like I said, like the locker rooms, having hand sanitizers there, just making sure that their players and their organization, that's their family, right? That's what they're meant to do. So they're all going to be getting in there. They're going to be making sure everything's all good, and we'll give you more update when we have that. Guys, spicy. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the first half. Second half here. It's nice and easy. This is stuff that I don't have written down. It's all off the top of the head. It's nice and blended because it's all my pure stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Now, as you can see from the board behind me, we got North Sports Fantasy 5 here, which is brought to you by Heartbeat Hot Sauce, ladies and gentlemen. Heartbeat Hot Sauce gets free advertisement on this podcast every single time, on this show every single time. And they are going to bring you the North Sports Fantasy 5 every time. Anytime I got fantasy sports talk for you or notes for you, it's all provided by them. So let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. I got your top 5 defenses and offenses that you're going to need for a standard fantasy football season coming up here, okay? Normal point structure, all that kind of stuff. What you need to be looking for here is, because of this offseason, because of everything that has happened and stuff like that with all the COVID bullshit and this, that, and everything else, there's a lot that's going to be different. But there's also going to be a lot that's going to be the same. So let's get into the top 5 defenses. Number 5, Dallas. That is just a stacked defense really through and through. They just got to prove themselves, all right? They just got to prove themselves. And I think with the division still rebuilding and stuff like that, that gives you at least 4 more games to play around and showcase what the defense can really do. Watch out for Dallas, especially if you're looking to get a late round defense. They're available pretty much every single time. So number 4, Indianapolis. Now this is a team and a defense that a lot of people would laugh at me and be like, why would you pick Indianapolis? What about the Chargers? There's a lot of other teams that could be here. Indianapolis has a lot of players put in certain positions right now that are ready to take it to the next level, especially when the organization goes and gets Phillip Rivers, who is eventually going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, whether we like it or not. All right? Now, they got a couple little holes, very small, minute holes in that Indianapolis defense, but if you look at the schedule that they have and the players that they got to play, Deshaun Watson's got to get used to his tools first. There's at least one good game from their defense. Jacksonville is going to be a mess, and they get them twice. Tennessee, we still don't even know what's going to be, and there's another game. So Indianapolis' defense is somebody that I'm going to want, especially if they're available when the first top-tier defenses start coming off the board. Number 3 is Arizona. Why Arizona? One specific reason. Isaiah Simmons. Now, a lot of analysts and stuff like that would laugh at me for saying a player would even have remotely any difference making whatsoever in a defensive PPR structure and this, that, and everything else. I beg to differ. Arizona is a little different. Arizona has had talent all across their board for many of years. Arizona, when they had Bruce Arians, was a really damn good defense, and people had their defense for a little while on their fantasy rosters, especially in Dynasty, because it was Jacksonville of a few years ago or Chicago of a few years ago. Now, this guy that they traded for is like me when it comes to sports. Dive into every position, and you can do pretty damn good at every single position. I like to think of myself as the new age Isaiah Simmons. This guy is going to lead this defense. He's going to help in certain positions. So when the offense against his defense tries to capitalize on the 1 or 2 holes that the Arizona Cardinals defense has, he is there to prevent it and add that extra little bit of push. That is why I'm high on Arizona this year just in general, and that is why I got them in the top 3 defenses that you're going to want to have. Number 2 is Buffalo. Duh. You don't got Tom Brady in your fucking division anymore, man. So you got 2 games against the Patriots with Jared Stidham with a defense that's proven to be pretty damn good. There's 2 games right there. Now, you got Tua that's going to be on the other side of things in Miami. That's divisional rivalry. It's going to go back and forth, but the more picks that they get and the less points they put up, 17 or 20 and stuff like that, there's still a 10 to 15 point spread for your defense. Then on the other side of things, you're also playing the Jets. Sam Darnold hasn't proven themselves yet, and they only got, Denzel Mims and Perriman, who was part of the Bucs for a bit. Those are not proven weapons just yet. Mims is going to be good, but if you cover Mims and you cover Bell, who the fuck do they got? They ain't got nobody else. I would be, what's the word I'm looking for? I would be shocked if Buffalo is not a top 3 defense at the end of this upcoming year. And number 1, Denver. What? Why would I pick Denver? They didn't load up on offense, or they didn't load up on defense. They loaded up on offense. And I'm pretty sure Von Miller is coming down to a contract year, and Nick Chubb is pretty soon, and they just lost some of their corners. Well, Andrew, what are you thinking? What am I thinking? You got Kansas City, you got the Vegas Raiders, and you got the Chargers. That every one of those teams, because of the offense that Denver has put together, are going to have to pass it. They're going to be forced to throw that ball. There is a lot of talent on that front seven there on the Denver, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to hit the quarterback. There's not that great of offensive lines in that division. They're good to great, yes, but there's holes. How do I say there's holes? Because Kansas City, average to good. The Chargers, rebuilding but getting good. Raiders, on paper, look amazing, but they're still just good. Denver's defense is better. Von Miller can get through them. Chubb can get through them. There's going to be picks galore, ladies and gentlemen. Denver is the team that you're going to want, especially if you can get them at the end of the draft. Now, a lot of teams are actually there. A lot of players are actually thinking of this, exactly what I'm saying, that Denver is going to have a great season. So watch them to be actually the third or fourth defense that people pick off the board. Everybody else is going to be used to the big ones. Watch out for Denver. Now, my top 5 offenses. Now, in fantasy, you don't base everything off of the whole offense. You base it off of the players. So this right here is taking a look at your running backs, your tight ends, your wide receivers, and your quarterbacks, and taking all of that into perspective and giving you the overall best offensive players that you are going to want to have. Oh, hold on here. We got shout out to my buddy Theron Churchill on getting drafted to the Argos. Hey, congratulations to him. Pretty soon I'm going to start doing emails out to see if I can get some interviews with some of these players and just people who in the sports worlds and stuff like that. So might be hooking up with you to see if we can get something going there, Alex. So we'll get into that. Top 5 offenses, like I said, though, all based off of the combined amount of players that we have here, ladies and gentlemen. Number 5, Green Bay, yes. Aaron Rodgers has got a chip on his shoulder. You just drafted his replacement. Last year they went 13-3, and this should have been a 10-6 team. I think this year, like I said before, you're going to be a 10-6 team, but they're going to be supposed to be 13-3. So what does that mean? It means they're going to kick ass. They got another running back. They got a backup quarterback, but that's still a lot of talent on that roster across the board. If you really think about it, the new tight end too. And Aaron Rodgers, has been proven that he doesn't need that much in order to get everything rolling properly. Number 4, Kansas City. Gonna get some flack on this. Everyone's like, what? Patty Mahomes. I get it. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be the player that everybody wants, and I agree with, as you can see right there. We'll get to that in a few. But let's take a step back. Do you really honestly think that we're going to have Patrick Mahomes do the same damn thing that he did last year when everybody gets more than an offseason, if you think about it, to sit and watch tape? Because all coaches are doing. Andy Reid has been proven before that he can be defeated with his own system. It could happen. But at the same time, they do have a lot of talent across the board. And we know that. This is Kansas City. This is the Super Bowl champions. They're still going to be a number 1 offense. They're still going to be number 1 to get any player from Kansas City that you see at the end of every draft. You know, you're sitting there and you're like, okay, there's not that many players that I am looking at anymore. You start breaking down, you're like, okay, now I need a Kansas City player. And all these other teams above. You'd start looking for players on each one of those teams. Number 3, Denver. I'm going back to Denver again. That offense is stacked, ladies and gentlemen. Melvin Gordon, Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, all those tight ends, Phillip Lindsay, Drew Lock. It's stacked. Hamler. There we go. That's a stacked offense, ladies and gentlemen. Denver's offense is going to be fun. I have, on my Dynasty Leagues, tried to pick up as many of them as I can because they're going up against Patty Mahomes. They're going up against all these other defenses that are out there. They are good defenses, but Drew Lock has the potential to take this team above and beyond. Why? Because it's just talent across the board. It's not like he's just going to be passing it to Courtland Sutton. When people block him, there's nobody else to go to. You have 5 different targets every time, Drew. It could possibly work. I think it's going to, especially because they've addressed that offensive line. Watch out for the Denver offense. That is going to be something, ladies and gentlemen. Number 2 is my Bucks. We had Tom Brady. Even when all the starters come off, the replacements are starters for other teams, if you think about it. Look down the list. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, O.J. Howard, Cameron Brake, Gronkowski, Ronald Jones, Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller, Justin Watson, Auclair, Hudson, Vaughn, Calais. The list goes on and on with the amount of players on that offense that the Buccaneers could use if they really need to. The Buccaneers offense could be one of the best we have ever seen. Jameis Winston got 5,109 yards, for crying out loud, last year in a 7-9 team. If we are even close to a playoffs, Tom Brady can get 4,000 yards easily. But if this really takes off and he has a good enough arm like we have seen Tom Brady have, this could possibly be a 5,000 yard season for Tom Brady. It is possible. The age is the only thing that makes me not want to give that vote. Number 1, I don't want to give it to my boss. My boss is a Ravens fan, but I'm going to have to give it to him. Number 1 is the Ravens. It's Lamar, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Lamar factor. Michael Vick had a hell of a season when he was with Atlanta in 97 or 98. When you have amazing seasons like that, and then especially with fantasy here, a lot of players just start getting taken. It's literally last year and the year before is Kansas City Chiefs. Every single one of those players taken. You can't even get third or fourth stringers. That's the amazing part. Now Baltimore's got 4 running backs. They got 3 wide receivers they can use. They got 3 tight ends still. And Lamar. And RG3. If you don't want any Ravens players on your offense for your team, for your fantasy team, I'll take them. Because depending on the type of PPR, or if it's PPR, I'm taking Lamar in the 2nd or 3rd round. But if it's like the work draft that I made before, where you add just a little bit of extra bonuses to the quarterbacks and stuff like that, if you start doing a season like that, you got Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson coming off at 6 and 7 respectively. Once those top running backs and the one wide receiver, Michael Thomas, has gone off of the board, you start adding just a little bit more points to your quarterbacks. Patty Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, hell, even this at Baker Mayfield would be coming off too. So, giving a quick rundown. Oh, that's spicy. Quick rundown, ladies and gentlemen, of our top 5 rookies across the board. Going quick, number 5, Shenault Jr. from Jacksonville is going to be basically the number 1 wide receiver that they have. Number 4 is CeeDee Lamb from Dallas. If Dallas's offense is anything that we have seen it before, I think it's going to be quite amazing. I think CeeDee Lamb can flourish pretty well. Number 3 is Jerry Jeudy from Denver. He is going to be the second look every single damn time and eventually be the number 1 look for Drew Lock. So he's going to get all the attention. Number 2, Michael Pittman Jr. from Indianapolis. Why do you say that, Mr. Faubert? Well, T.Y. Hilton is still getting used to how many quarterbacks he has to play with. He doesn't look like he's going to want to stay there too much longer. So look for the new quarterback in town, Phillip Rivers, to start looking for the talent and the targets somewhere else. T.Y. Hilton is going to be good for the deep threats, but we know that Mr. Shotput himself is not going to be able to throw him that far, that quick to get it to T.Y. Hilton. Look for him to start getting Michael Pittman Jr. Number 1, Henry Ruggs, the 3rd. The speedster himself out of the Raiders, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a hell of a steal in this draft, in this upcoming fantasy draft for you. Doesn't matter if they put him Carr, Mariota, if they get a quarterback next year. Whatever quarterback that they have is going to love having this guy. He's the next Deshaun Jackson. He's the next Darren Sproles, if you really think about it. You give him an offseason to get an NFL body. That guy's going to be a guy that kicks some ass. Your running backs, number 5, J.K. Dobbins. I got him at 5 only because there's 4 running backs on the Baltimore roster. Melvin Ingram Ingram isn't going to be there for that long. Gus Edwards could be there for a little bit while. Justice Hill could be there for a little bit. But J.K. Dobbins is looking like he's going to take that role in the next upcoming season or 2. So if you have a dynasty league, he's amazing pick to take. But if you're just looking for him for this season, I would wait to the later rounds. Number 4, DeAndre Swift from Detroit. Kerryon Johnson cannot stay healthy. They drafted another running back in the 4th round. I think they're going to start walking away from Kerryon Johnson and start seeing if teams like the Buccaneers or the Eagles would trade and get a 3rd rounder for him. But DeAndre Swift is going to be hella good to be watching in that uniform because he's going to look like Barry Sanders. Number 3, Cam Akers for the Rams. I think the Rams have a problem at the running back position. I think Cam Akers, after game 3, will take the reins. The Florida State Seminole will start busting heads and go right down the center and get 3.5 yards per carry, but it's the amount of carries that he'll get for the rest of the season, which will make him a fantasy want. Number 2, Taylor from Indianapolis. I have him, and I'm stating this right now. Jonathan Taylor is going to lead the NFL in rushing yards next year. That's right, a Colt running back, a rookie running back for the Colts is going to lead the NFL in rushing yards. That is my bold prediction so far of the year. I think that offensive line is built so appropriately to host it for the most it, man. Number 1, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's just like, it's Patrick Mahomes, man. Like, he's got no running backs. This guy can catch it pretty damn good and block pretty damn good. Like, that's a given, ladies and gentlemen. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be a fantasy want. There's a reason why I gave a fortune for him in one of my drafts, and there's a reason why I let other people give up fortunes for him in another draft, because you see the benefits and the disadvantages of having someone like that who we have not even seen play yet. He was really good in LSU. Is he going to be really good for that offense there? Probably. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been your 5 rookie RBs. Now, we got some too early offseason hits for you. This is me taking a look at the 2021 season coming up here and taking a couple of guesses about what is actually going to happen there. Now, one of those things that I got here is the Jags get the number 1 pick, draft Trevor Lawrence. That's a given. I've got that as my number 1 consensus so far, that the Jags are just doing everything to tank. There's a reason they're not going to grab Kaepernick. There's a reason they're not going to do this. There's a reason they're not going to sign all these players. And there's a reason why Ngakoue is probably going to get traded. Start getting talent. Start drafting draft picks. Get the quarterback you want next year. Then we can start moving forward by moving to Toronto. That would be amazing. Rodgers will get traded to Washington, Detroit, or the Vegas Raiders. Now, why those teams? Oh my God, I had him for a second. The quarterback for Washington, whose name actually passes me there for a second. Haskins, there we go. If Haskins can't actually do that good in the first season with Ron Rivera after having 1 season already, I think they will start to move on. And I think Washington would be primed to make a trade for someone like Rodgers. Same with Detroit. If Matt Patricia doesn't do very good, they could have another top 3 pick, lose out on their quarterbacks that they want, and instead they could take a really good player there, take the 2nd rounder and a few other bench players or roster players, trade them for, Rodgers. It would be weird to trade it within division. I get that, but they kind of do that before with Minnesota. Anyway, Raiders on the other hand too. If Derek Carr doesn't pan out and Mariota just is there to be a great backup and stuff like that, look for the Raiders to try and get a bunch of fans into the stands by having Aaron Rodgers there for 3 years. That's pretty much a given. I got another one here. Urban Meyers becomes the head coach of the LA Chargers. Now, I got the Chargers going 7-9 as a bit of a rebuild, I guess you would say. The only reason they're in a rebuild is because they got Justin Herbert and a really good team, but a rookie quarterback and stuff like that is going to need a little bit of time in order to get going. So look for a new head coach to come in to kind of get that whole rebuild going, to get some of these other contracts out of the way and get some new players and get that whole LA Charger fan base around them in a new stadium. Dan Mullen becomes the head coach of Atlanta. The Florida Gators head coach looks like he's going to start coming into the NFL pretty soon. And there's only so many teams that look like they might fall from grace here. One of those teams that I think is going to be Atlanta. I think he fits the bill pretty good. I don't want him to be playing the Bucs at all. But that's not here or there. And I got this weird. Baker Mayfield doesn't get his 5th-year option. Now, a lot of people are going to say that's stupid because then he would just become a free agent and they wouldn't get anything for him. What if Baker Mayfield is good, but he demands a major contract? Kind of like a Winston situation. Wouldn't you rather get out of that? Wouldn't you rather just let him go? You could try to trade him, but people aren't going to give you what you want for him. Then you become the Browns and blah, 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 blah. You take the next offseason, you can grab another quarterback that you want to put behind Mayfield, Let Mayfield play it out, because if he starts playing good and stuff like that before Game 7, you can give him the extension. Then you got 2 quarterbacks. Then all of a sudden the Browns don't have a quarterback issue at all. That's a weird one. I know, but that's what I think. Now, lastly, before I open up this pack here, actually, open up this pack while I talk about this here. I got some NHL trades that I thought of while we're opening this pack here, ladies and gentlemen. Nice and easy. There is a couple of trades that I think would just be so prominent to have in the NHL that it would be silly not to. Like Pittsburgh trading Matt Murray. I got them going to him going to Edmonton. Matt Murray, 2 4th-round picks to Edmonton for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Ooh. Instead of giving the extension to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, they get Matt Murray, who's already under contract for a couple more years. They get the starting goalie that they need, and they don't have to give Nuge the big contract. Now, Edmonton could trade Jesse Puljujarvi to Carolina for Jordan Staal and a 2021 first-round pick. Why would you do that? Edmonton having all those picks and Jordan Staal under contract gives you another veteran leadership, another center that you can use. Just overall, makes it sick of a trade. And you having 2 first-round picks in the 2021 draft could easily turn that around to try and get more picks for the 2022 Shane Wright draft, because Shane Wright and Connor McDavid on the same team would just be absolutely disgusting. Toronto can trade William Nylander and a 4th-round pick to Minnesota for a whopping Alex Galchenyuk, Mikko Koivu, Andrew Stalock, and a 2020 second-round pick. This gives them backups. This gives them a good, solid backup goalie. This gives them 3rd and 4th line centers and wingers that they need. This also gives them a 2020 second-round pick that they can use to start getting some of their prospects back into the system. San Jose trade Thomas Meyer and a 3rd-round pick to Columbus. It looks like I said Colorado there, but Columbus. Giannis Korpisalo and a 2021 first-round pick. Columbus starts a little bit of what you would call, San Jose starts what you would call a little bit of a rebuild. Most of your players are either going to be looking for big contracts or retiring, and you just basically gave Ottawa a really good player. So I would watch San Jose to start collecting a couple more draft picks to get ahead of the game. And finally, this one's big because I'm a big Detroit fan, and I think that this one could actually work. Like Nashville could trade Roman Josi and Pekka Rinne to Detroit for Todd Bertuzzi, Christian N, Schlowski, and 2 second-round picks. I do not see Detroit getting rid of any first-round picks for at least the next 3 years. They can ask for 2 second-rounders, 2/3, and 2/4, and I think Detroit would even give it to them anyway. If you were getting a number 1 defenseman and a goalie that we can have for at least 1 more year to make those rookies feel like they're actually doing something, it could work out to their benefit. Now, those were some trades that I came up with for what's been going on here, ladies and gentlemen. I had other little ones, where Pittsburgh could trade to Phoenix for Chikrin, could trade Matt Murray to Detroit for Rasmus Hronek and some seconds. San Jose could trade Meyer to Philadelphia for Sanheim in a 5th. That could be kind of interesting. Edmonton trading Puljujarvi for Sanheim as well, or Voracek. There's a few trades that could happen out there that seem a little bit ridiculous, but we've also seen some trades happen before in the NHL, especially around weird times and stuff like that, that don't make sense. And they end up being either pretty good or absolute shit for your organization, aka Oiler fans who know about the Taylor Hall for Adam Larson trade. Now, I got the pack open here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what is getting added to the giveaway that is going to happen on the 27th of June. You will be able to win these cards behind me. All you got to do is like, share, and tag your friends on any of the shows that you have, 1 through 13 that you've seen, and I will put your names into the draw for every single one that you have. We have a Matt Martin card. Brady McNabb from the Golden Knights. Oh, what we got there? We got Kyle Brosniak. We got a UD canvas of Oliver Ekman Larson, which is probably going to be the one that we give up. Anton Strawman. Dan Hamzut. There's like 3 damn Hamzuts for that one, but yeah. Evgeny Kuznetsov. And Alex Pietrangelo. That means the UD canvas, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be added to the collection here. That's right. UD canvas, Oliver Ekman Larson from Phoenix. That's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Right after this, I'm going to eat some fucking nachos. And then I'm going to open up some cards before I'll be on Buck's Report show tonight at 8:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 Mountain Time, 10:30 Eastern Time for all my friends in Thunder Bay on the East Coast there. That's where I'll be on the show. I'll be opening up these bad boys in about 10 minutes on my Instagram. Remember, if you want to get another entry, go to Instagram, follow North Sports 2020, ladies and gentlemen, for a chance to get 3 more entries into the draw, and that is where I will be sharing the video. I'll just do it normally on my normal Instagram page, because some people don't go over it and stuff like that. But pretty soon it won't be there. But we'll be opening up these bad boys, and you get to see what kind of shit I get. This is about $50 worth of card packs here. And so we're going to see if we get more than $50. Ladies and gentlemen, that's been episode 13. Follow me on Twitter, Andrew_Fobears. Look for North Sports. Follow Bucks Report on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. I'll be on there tonight, like I said, at about 10:30 for the people on the East Coast, 8:30 my time. Ladies and gentlemen, I went over my time limit. That's so much to get through today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being part of this. And pretty damn soon we're going to have sports. So stay tuned. Stick with me. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you next week, where we got more information for you about the new sports and the new shit coming through because of the whole COVID stuff right around the corner. Thank you again. Much love. Have a great one. We'll see you soon.